Remember to like and subscribe. I, 34F, discovered that my pastor and therapist husband has had numerous affairs. My husband and I have been married for 12 years, and he runs an alcohol treatment center that is heavily religious in nature. His father was a pastor, and when he was in school, he pursued a master's degree in pastoral counseling with a focus on substance abuse treatment after being denied a position at a church he really wanted. One thing leads to another, and in our heavily Southern Baptist area, he ends up founding an organization and treatment center that incorporates our faith into sobriety. It has become a mainstay for a lot of local people, and people see it as a family. My husband is a great speaker, so he draws a lot of interest and can easily get people to work for him for free, even though he makes a significant amount every time somebody signs up for a program. In fact, if he spent even 10% of his profit on payroll, these people would be making miles above the national average for their job. I often feel astonished that people aren't resentful that their contributions aren't being compensated for every fraction of what they are worth. But for years, I never really questioned my husband or what he did for work because I thought he was doing well, and everybody at the church we go to where he speaks regularly also admires him. However, in recent years, because our sons are now turning 10 and 8, I have been going to community college for paralegal studies and was able to be mentored by friends in the legal profession. I had put off college for so many years because of my relationship and because my husband said I didn't have to worry and that I could stay home and focus on the kids. I found an intellectual curiosity that I never knew I had and definitely want to pursue a career in law. This didn't go over well with my husband, and I started to see how dismissive he was of most of my thoughts. I also found out he was lying pretty compulsively to people regarding his childhood and other credentials. A lot of which was to either elicit sympathy or make him seem more brave or prodigal. For example, he said that his late mom was a habitual cocaine user throughout her life who beat him, an account that everybody in his family says is not true, and he also admitted was not true but that he couldn't think of a good way to spin why he really went into the substance abuse field. He also constantly mocks every person he's around for work and basically says they will never amount to anything and that they are idiots for either working for free or paying through their nose to get sober. When I married him thinking he was a great guy and that I would stick by him for life, but I find every day more unbearable. At home, he is a totally different person than in public. We had hired a cleaning company, and a friend of mine knew the owner. The owner said that he could have made a lot of money off of saying that my husband was a client of his, but that he decided it wasn't worth it because of how my husband treated the cleaners who came over to our house. While requests by us have been met with schedule conflicts, we have obviously been banned, and I know that it's because of my husband's dismissive and irate nature. The straw that broke the camel's back was me going to the doctors with symptoms and finding out that I had a bacterial STD after missing periods and having a mysterious mild fever. But I knew that I wasn't the one sleeping around, so when I told my husband about the diagnosis, he freaked out and admitted to an affair. I was heartbroken but told him he needed to tell her and her sexual partners about this, and that's when it came out that he was having numerous affairs and didn't want to tell anyone about it. He got tested, and it turned out he was asymptomatic. I found out one of them was a long-term thing, but others were midnight bar flings across the country or escorts. He claimed that his life was stressful and that it was just an outlet. He agreed to wear a condom until I could trust him again and said he wanted to work this out. And that we had to or it would be a public shame for both of us. For a couple days after this, he was very apologetic, buying me gifts and surprising me with a planned trip to Paris. However, when he said that I should trust his expertise and refused to see an independent therapist even though there were so many virtual options that would have gotten us a reputable therapist on the other side of the country, he reverted back to being dismissive and ambushed me with an impromptu sit-down about our marriage where he began painting infidelity recovery in a way that it was still only on his terms. I had had enough and we ended up sleeping in different bedrooms. He responded to this by making the concession that I can have the passcode to his phone now and that he won't ever get mad if I ask him to verify where he is going, but he also wants things to go back to normal and for me to act like this never happened. He said we'd be ruined if we divorced and tried to bribe me by saying that I could get a job at his organization to further the career he was fighting me on. But when I still didn't just put a smile on my face and say all is forgiven, he would say that I would have a hard life if I divorced him and that my career would be unrewarding and take me nowhere. What do I do? Our boys feel the tension, but both are overawed by their father. I cannot imagine starting over, and I feel like he would be very resentful of any divorce. But the duplicity of his and, by extension, our lives is giving me whiplash. Top comments. I'm going to be as concise and direct as I can be, so hopefully this situation is a little more clear. Your husband has intentionally kept you out of work and completely dependent upon him in order to force you to stay with him while he fucks prostitutes, strangers, and generally anything that had a pulse in the last hour, while abusing everyone around you and just generally existing as a generally garbage excuse of a human being. So I understand that it's difficult because you don't have the means to support yourself and the kids without him, and that leaving him is a huge life change and a major change in your kids' lives. There is a lot more going on and more considerations than just he's a shit person and I don't want to be with a shit person. But you also need to understand that your safety, your wants and needs, your emotional and physical safety, your life, is important and of value, and it is beyond unacceptable that someone treats you this way and has done this to you. It's disgusting. Your husband, regardless of whoever he used to be or who you once thought he was, is now, or maybe always has been, an awful, atrocious human being. Getting this out of your life and being treated the way you deserve, and getting your children away from this influence, is worth whatever discomfort or difficulties may arise from a divorce, and whatever changes may come from looking for work or getting a degree and finding work. I can promise you that this situation will not get better. He will not only not stop, but his behavior will devolve, his controlling habits will increase, and in all likelihood, this will make its way to your children. They will continue growing up. Their father will start imprinting on them some or even much of this same behavior as they get older and as his defenses drop, and you will probably wish you had made the choice to do right by yourself and your children many years before it became an emergency. People as bad as your husband don't get better, and it's when their facade falls that their behavior starts working to protect their ego and continue the abuse, making them behave in even more erratic and damaging ways. It's past time to stop twisting your life into shapes about what he feels and allowing this to happen to you because you are afraid he will be resentful. You know what the right thing to do is. I'm tagging onto this high comment because I really want the op to see this. Please, if anyone can help add more guidance or correct me on anything here, please do. Your husband is a narcissist. I'm saying that as in the medical term, not casual internet slang. You are in an abusive relationship. Can you imagine exposing someone you love to diseases like this? Then still treat them like shit afterwards? He has no love for you, and I'm really sorry for that. It sounds like he is not capable of love or care for other people beyond serving himself. You are a strong individual, as evidenced by the way you write. I think you are capable of much more than you know. You can get out of this marriage and start a new and happier life for you. I really, really hope you do. I do think it will be a few years of shit. You will probably have to go through an unpleasant divorce, and he will probably try to drag your name through the mud. The community might turn on you. That is the worst case scenario, but it is very possible. But you will be able to make it through that to the other side. And then you will have the rest of your life to do whatever you want. The alternative is to live like this for the rest of your life. That would be much worse, in my opinion. Although you have to make your own decisions. What I would say is that no matter what you decide, please do the following. First, consider how you use technology. You are going to need to Google stuff and save stuff, and you need to make sure he does not have access to any of it. Make backups that you send to a secret email account. Use incognito browsers whenever you Google things, so that he can't see what you've been looking at. Then, 1. Start looking into advice and support for abused women. You will benefit from this, and they will have way more advice in online groups, for example, than just what I can put here. I know that it might feel silly if he's not hitting you, but abuse is much broader than that. And these resources will be very helpful for you. 2. Start documenting everything related to his cheating, giving you an STI, and his general treatment of you. This is going to be extremely important, whether you want to get a divorce now or in 10 years, or even if you decide not to. Please do this. Screenshot text, try to get him to put things in writing. You need proof of all of this. He is clearly willing to lie and able to convince people of those lies, so you need all the proof you can get. Do not let him find out that you are doing this. 3. Back up everything you've documented. Don't just have it on a phone that he could see. Make a secret email and send screenshots to that email. Do that kind of thing. 4. Talk to a divorce lawyer. Do not let him find out that you are doing this. I would pretend that things are okay for as long as you can. Usually, you want to gather evidence of him cheating before he knows that you are going to file for divorce. Otherwise, he will try to clear the proof and start lying to get ahead of you, which can impact the results of the divorce. Find a good divorce lawyer, ideally someone who has experience with women in these situations. 5. In addition to proof of him cheating, get proof of everything you can about his behavior that you've outlined above. As I wrote, he sounds like he will try to drag your name through the mud. Any proof that you have of him treating people badly, mocking people working for him for free, etc. is something you might want to use later to clear your name and expose the true situation. Again, you never have to do this if you don't want to, but this is self-protection and there is no harm in you gathering this. 6. You need to have your own money. Others can advise you better about how to do this because I don't know the exact laws and recommendations for storing away money for yourself and how that looks for divorce courts. Talk to your divorce lawyer about this. But I would hope that they say that you can open a secret account and start sneaking money into that. You need some kind of account that has some money that he is not aware of. 7. These are not in any order, as others have said. He is not going to stop cheating, and either way, you need to protect your health. Please keep using protection if you have sex and keep getting STI checks. Private so he doesn't know about them is fine. Of course, he is telling you that your job and life without him will be unrewarding. That is what abusers do. Your husband is still trying to lie and manipulate you more. It's another trick. What we see time and time again from posts like these is that when the person like you gets out of the relationship, and they're 5 or 10 years down the road, they say that asshole almost had me convinced. Because once you're out of it, it becomes so much more obvious that you have so much value. You can meet a partner who treats you with love and respect, your children will be okay and better off because they'll see a happier mother, you can have a career you enjoy if that's what you want, and intellectual stimulation from whatever you want, you can make decisions for yourself. I think you should write down what you want for yourself so that you can keep looking back at it until you have it.